All right, today we're conducting a post-mortem. We're going to crack open the code, follow the money trail, and figure out how a game with a $100 million price tag failed so spectacularly. This is the autopsy of Warzone Mobile.
So get this. On February 17th, 2026, Activision basically signed the game's death warrant. And then, boom, just 2 months later, April 17th, the servers are set to go dark for good. This game was supposed to have a 5-year life cycle, and it got cut down in a fraction of that time.
And that really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? Or in this case, the $100 million question. How does a game with this much cash, this much hype, and the massive Call of Duty name behind it just crash and burn? Well, that's exactly what we're here to investigate. Our investigation really has to start with the decision to pull the plug. You know, this wasn't a slow, sad decline. This was a calculated execution. It was, for all intents and purposes, a digital death warrant. In the corporate world, they have a fancy term for this, a strategic bailout. It basically means Activision knew the game was broken and that the cost to keep it running was way more than they could ever hope to make back. So they decided to cut their losses at the exact moment everyone was talking about how bad it was. They pretty much admitted the project was, and I'm quoting here, born terminally ill. The problems were there from the very beginning. So, what was that terminal illness? What was the cause of death? To find out, we have to pop the hood and look at the game's engineering DNA, because that's where the real problem, the fatal flaw, is hiding. And this slide, it tells you everything you need to know. On one side, you've got the IW engine, a total beast designed for consoles and PCs that are plugged into a wall, just sucking down power. And on the other side, you've got a mobile ARM chip, which is built for the exact opposite, being as efficient as possible to save your battery. Activision basically tried to shove a monster truck engine into a Prius. It was never, ever going to work. And the result of that mismatch was just chaos. The engine was putting 3 times more stress on phones than other popular games. But here's the kicker. It didn't even look 3 times better. It was all cost and absolutely zero benefit for the player. Just pure, unnecessary strain. All that strain created one thing: heat. A ton of heat. And this number right here, this is the smoking gun. 52 degrees Celsius. That's 125 degrees Fahrenheit. In less than 10 minutes, this game was pushing phones to temperatures that could literally cause permanent damage. It was cooking devices.
And all of that led to what we're calling the meltdown cascade. It's a domino effect that was completely unavoidable. The engine overload creates insane heat. Your phone's processor, trying to save itself from melting, goes into thermal throttling, which slows everything down. And for you, the player, that means unplayable, stuttering lag. You're left with a choice: play a broken game or protect your $1,000 phone. I mean, it's not really a choice at all, is it?
Now, if the story wasn't wild enough, this is where it gets truly bizarre. Warzone Mobile's biggest, most dangerous competitor wasn't from another company. Nope. It was another Call of Duty game from the same publisher running on the very same phones. I mean, just look at this. You don't need to be a data scientist to see what's happening. The older game, COD Mobile, was raking in about 85 million players a day. And Warzone Mobile, it struggled to even get past 4 million. It wasn't just losing the fight, it was getting absolutely demolished by its own sibling. So why the huge difference? Well, it all goes back to their DNA. COD Mobile was built from the ground up for phones by Tencent. It had a smart way to make money and servers that were actually optimized. It worked. Warzone Mobile, on the other hand, was this clunky, bloated port with massive server costs trying to sell a cross-progression feature that nobody cared about because the game barely even ran. One was a case study in how to do it right. The other was a total, unmitigated disaster. Okay, so that brings us to the money. A failure on this scale doesn't just disappoint gamers, it leaves a massive $100 million crater on the books. It's time to follow the money. So you've got over $100 million poured into development marketing. And what did they get for it? Revenue that was less than a third of what Wall Street expected. Then Microsoft comes along after buying Activision. They start this massive spring cleaning to get rid of expensive projects that aren't performing. And guess what was at the top of the list? For Microsoft, it makes way more sense to just stream the real console version of Warzone to phones using the cloud. So this broken native mobile game, it got sacrificed for a bigger cloud-first strategy. So, after looking at the technology, the competition, and the finances, we can finally deliver our verdict on the official cause of death for Warzone Mobile. And the fallout was immediate. You had players who spent real money on mobile-only skins feeling totally betrayed. Their investment? Just gone. Then you had competitors, the opportunistic vultures like Bloodstrike, who swooped right in to grab all those angry players. And they proved that you could make a Warzone-like game work on a phone if you built it correctly. It all comes down to that one core flaw: Activision's arrogance. They truly believed their brand was so big they could just ignore the laws of physics. And really, if there's one single lesson to be learned from this entire $100 million fiasco, it's this: technology without optimization is just expensive garbage. You can have the prettiest, most powerful engine in the world, but if it doesn't actually run on the devices people use, it's completely worthless. Which leaves us with a really interesting question about what's next. With Microsoft pushing towards the cloud and other companies proving that custom-built games can be huge hits, what does the future of high-end mobile gaming even look like? Is it going to be all about streaming big console games, or is it about creating amazing experiences designed specifically for our phones? After this autopsy, I think the answer is becoming a lot clearer.